Good morning, everyone, and thank you guys so much for joining today's stream. Today, so far, we have the market making a pretty good recovery to the upside. I know last night there was a lot of selling pressure going on with futures, and it definitely wasn't looking too good, but so far, we do have the buyers coming back in. Some of the stocks that are leading the way this morning are Tesla and Airbnb. If we look at Tesla, it is back above that $800 level, and it broke above that crucial trend line that Tom has had on his chart for a while now. So either way, that's great to see Tesla back above 800. And then even Airbnb is showing some pretty good upwards momentum today. They are popping off, and they're like just below that 174 resistance. So lots of stuff moving so far today. Tom, what do you have your eyes on?
Yeah, I actually have my eyes on some of these bigger growth stocks right now, kind of like CLOV, CHPT, RUN. I'm really keeping my eye on those stocks. They also stayed up from yesterday, but that's awesome to see Tesla up there around that $800 level. I think that could be a really good runner today if we see a nice breakout. And, we failed to see that awesome breakout up above 805 lately. So if we could see an awesome move up above 805, I think it could make for a great move out of Tesla and possibly out of some of these EV stocks. But I really have my eyes on these growth stocks, kind of like CHPT, Enphase. You could also call these like the clean energy stocks, but either way, these stocks are also kind of popping back up this morning. I know yesterday they did very well early on, so maybe we'll see another early morning run up today, kind of like we saw yesterday.
For sure. And then I also have my eyes on these cruise lines, specifically CCL and RCL. I really been watching them over the past couple weeks, and I know they've been struggling like over the past couple days, but I can definitely see them popping off. But it's more of like a I guess you could say like a medium term to long term swing play.
Yeah, definitely, because those stocks might take a little while to recover, but it looks like on the daily, those stocks have actually been recovering pretty good besides for the past week. So hopefully they can kind of get back up there, especially if the airlines can turn around. I know that the airlines, Mike, have had a lot of bad news lately, especially with these earnings starting to come out too. And it looks like they are kind of popping up this morning, but there is some red momentum coming in right at market open. But I know that there's been a lot of weird news about cancellations and all types of stuff, especially with Southwest Airlines, ticker LUV.
You know it. So welcome Iranical, Santiago, Alex, Jamie, X, Keisha, and Vicky to the stream. Thank you guys so much for joining. We have Alex saying, seems like a Monday since we did not have the live stream yesterday. And then Keisha said, missed you guys. So yeah, too, we were having some audio problems yesterday, so we had to cancel the stream. But we're good to, we're happy to be back, So far today, the main stocks, Tesla and Airbnb. But I think, Tom, I think we should have a pretty interesting day. I know the market hasn't been moving too much, but, like yesterday, like, even though the market didn't move too much, like, we did see some pretty big runners, like, out of the China stocks. And, like you mentioned, some of the growth plays, like RUN.
Yeah, like RUN was on fire yesterday, just breaking that high of Friday, running up above 44.50, running all the way up to almost $47, which honestly was a pretty crazy move. And you're right, these stocks just had awesome recoveries yesterday. And even though the market was down, they really showed their strength, which was nice to see. But kind of talking about the overall market, we have the market opening in just about 1 minute here. We have, or actually, I should say 10 seconds, but the SPY is going to open right around that 436 resistance. So we'll have to see if we can kind of break out above this or if we're going to get rejected and kind of move back to the downside again.
There we go. So we are open right now. Tesla is up like 2%. Square's looking pretty good as well. Looking at plays to the downside, Facebook is still selling off pretty hard, Tom. I don't know if you saw that, but even like no matter whatever good momentum that the market has, it seems like Facebook is definitely tanking off, rightfully so. But it's just something to keep on your radar.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, look at that start to break those resistances to the downside. Definitely not I should say supports to the downside. Definitely not a good thing this morning. Facebook kind of gapped down while the S&P 500 kind of, they didn't gap up, but they definitely had a pretty good pre-market. So that's pretty weird to see. And, hopefully Facebook, honestly, I hope it keeps going down in the short term just so we can keep seeing some more long-term opportunities here. I feel like Facebook could eventually maybe get down to that 300 support over the next couple months.
We shall see. Alrighty, so looking back at the scanners, RUN's looking decent right now, up a little over 1%, but I'm really just hoping it holds like the support right around like, well, ideally 45, but even if it doesn't hold that, hopefully right around like $44 and like 40 cents. And then I really just want to see a break of 47 because this one's just been doing nothing for like months now.
Yeah, it really hasn't, and it's unfortunate to see. It's been really consolidating, like you said, and people have been really buying this one up. I feel like on the dip too. Same thing with CHPT, BLNK stocks like that. I feel like have been getting bought up a lot lately, but I feel like that they'll start to go up over the next couple months because they have been consolidating for a long time now, Mike. I mean, ever since like last May, that's like almost 6 months now that we've just been sitting down here.
You know it. All right, so welcome George, Jay, and Sean to the stream. Thank you guys so much for joining. You guys know the drill. Let us know what stocks you're watching, and we can definitely take a look at them. Tom, I know that Tesla has, I guess you could say, a lot of hype with it right now. I know that so far it's up just under 1%, and now we're back below 800, which definitely isn't a good sign, but we're still in the green. What are your thoughts on Tesla for the short term?
In the short term, I've really been looking for a nice breakout back to the upside. And, we keep getting rejected here around this $800 resistance, but I feel like one of these days over the next week or two, we have to get that type of momentum to finally get up through there. And I feel like that has to be the case now. But if we get rejected and Tesla ends up going down, then that just ends up being what happens. But, we do have earnings coming up pretty soon on October 20th. And I feel like that might make a pretty big impact here in the overall, or I should say in Tesla's overall movement, because as of right now, it's just not looking too good with Tesla, especially off that $800 level. But if we can kind of get that big breakout with these earnings, I feel like that we could finally get that big push up through there that we've been waiting for. But, I'm really hoping the momentum comes in before those earnings. Like I'd love to see it over the next couple days or something, but unfortunately, we just keep getting rejected. So it's so hard to play these breakouts whenever we just get rejection after rejection. Because if you're trying to play some of these maybe expensive weekly expirations on Tesla or something, I mean, you could end up losing 50% on a drop at open like this pretty quickly.
For sure. So I know this is pretty like an unpopular opinion, but I really don't see Tesla exploding like to the upside, at least in the short term. Like, yeah, it's been on like a slow and steady increase, but I just don't see it. It just doesn't have the momentum, and I feel like there's so many other plays at lower levels that investors would just scoop those ones up because, I know Tesla's, it's not cheap right now, especially when you look at their fundamentals. I know they're a great company. I love Tesla, but I just don't see it popping off. And I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, and I could see that too. It's just, unfortunately, it's just getting rejected after rejection after rejection. And then another good thing with Tesla is that they've also been kind of coming up a lot over the past 6 months, Mike. So, we've honestly had pretty much straight up movement ever since we bounced off this like 550 support down here. That's a pretty big move all the way back up to 800. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some more consolidation here either.
Alrighty, so we have Kiwi saying good morning, and then he mentioned Nike. So NKE, this one's up almost 2% on the day, and Goldman is actually bullish on Nike and sees 14% upside. So that is good news to see. Goldman gave Nike a $172 price target. So let's take a look at this one. So it's up like 1.5%. What are your thoughts on it? Like, I know it's been all over the place over the past couple of months, lots of upwards and downwards movement, but this upgrade is good news. So what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think that's really good news to see the upgrade like that with Nike. And, they've been dropping a lot lately, and they kind of fell back to this gap on the daily chart that they've been kind of trying to fill over the past few months. And it looks like they almost filled that gap. But either way, I mean, it definitely, to me, with an upgrade, that sounds like great news. And I feel like that they could end up getting a pretty good move back to the upside. And I will tell you, today it opened so far, it looks pretty bullish to me. I mean, we're flying up above some of these SMAs, especially the 1,000 SMA. And then we're also getting a key bounce off the 100 SMA here at open. So I think it looks like a pretty good play, possibly for the rest of today or possibly for a swing play for the next couple of days. And it looks like on these intraday charts, Mike, there's almost a double top here around that 153.66 level. And hey, if we break that over the next day or two, I could see a really big runner possibly coming.
Alrighty, so we have Spacely saying top of the morning. Welcome to the stream, Spacely. Let us know what stocks you have your eyes on. George said MU is breaking support. So MU, let's take a look at that one. Yeah, it's definitely like slowly fading off. IV's pretty low, so the market makers aren't expecting any super volatile movement out of this one anytime soon. But yeah, you're 100% right. It's definitely breaking that support. It's even below $70 now, which sucks to see, and it's just been slowly falling.
Yeah, it has. And someone even asked about this one in the Discord yesterday. And whenever they asked about it, like I'm usually pretty biased towards MU, but MU was looking pretty bad. And unfortunately, that sell off is continuing to happen here. We just broke that key support around like $68 to $69. And unfortunately, now we're getting a pretty bad move down. And I don't see any resistance really until we get down to $65. So to me, I think this stock could easily keep falling over the next couple of weeks. And even though they had earnings lately, the earnings did not go well. And they pretty much talked about that those chip shortages and stuff were definitely going to be affecting these chip companies over the next couple months. So definitely be careful with stocks like MU, Qualcomm, Intel, stocks like that. I think they'll be good for the long term, but for right now, it's just not very good.
Alrighty, so we have Jay saying, any thoughts on Square? So to be completely honest with you, I haven't been following this one too much lately. But now here's the thing. I do like them for the long term. I think they have a lot of growth potential. But at these levels and with all of the other opportunities in the market, while Square is, I guess you could say, mid-range, it's just not like an amazing, amazing deal to me. You guys know I love stocks like DraftKings, Corsair, Palantir, RUN, Redfin, Boeing, RCL, stocks like that. So, when I have an opportunity to pick up Palantir below 24 or Redfin below 50 or even Corsair below, 27, like it's almost like I have to. So Square, I like them as a company, but I just feel like there's other better deals out there. But if you're someone who likes Square, I still think it's at a good level. In the short term, it might sell off a little bit, but if you plan on holding for, a year or two, I think you should be fine.
Yeah, and the thing is like Mike said, it might sell off for the next couple months, but one thing is that Square's been investing pretty heavily back into their company. I know that they own Cash App, and they've been doing a lot with Bitcoin lately. So hopefully if Bitcoin starts to fly up to new highs, maybe that'll help Square too.
Alrighty, good stuff. And then we have Keisha saying, what do you guys think of the SPY today? So that's $1 million question, but let's take a look. SPY, so it's up 0.2%. You see, the thing is, there's no real momentum with it, just like last week. Like, it's up, down, up, down, up, down. No one knows what's going to happen in the short term. I would just focus not on the SPY, but some of these stocks that do have money flowing into them. Enphase and RUN are both exploding today. Lots of money flowing into them. RUN is getting really close to a breakout. Enphase is breaking out. So instead of like trying to mess around with the SPY, I would just shift over to other sectors, because especially if you're looking at it for like a short-term day trade, it's really, really hard to make money when the market's not doing anything, especially in the options market. Looking at other areas of the market right now, Tesla's breaking out big time, so that's another potential play for you. They're up 2%. They're above 805 now. But to answer your question with the SPY, honestly, I'm just expecting consolidation between like 434 and like 437. I'm just expecting a lot of chop, similar to what we saw on Thursday of last week.
Yeah, and I think that we could possibly see another drop on the SPY, just given that we're hitting this 436 resistance, but it's going to be really hard. The market just opened up 10 minutes ago, and there's still a lot of movement to happen. We see lots of times where the market will pop up for the first 20 to 30 minutes and then just sell off for the whole rest of the day. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. But I think that the SPY might hit these resistances and maybe head back to the downside. But we'll just have to see what happens, because, man, it's going to be hard for the SPY to go down with Tesla flying up like this. I love this breakout with Tesla, Mike. It finally happened. We're up above that 805 resistance. And who knows, maybe Tesla's going to finally get that run over $800 that people have been looking for, because, we finally broke it. And we're starting to actually get a decent run today. So who knows, we might actually get some decent movement here. I wonder if we might end up with a nice 4% plus type of day out of Tesla. I don't know. That might be pretty hard, but I'd love to see a solid breakout for once.
I'd love to see a solid breakout for ones with Palantir. I mean, this thing's been doing nothing.
Yeah, it really has. Man, this one's just been up and down, up and down. With them, I remember a couple weeks ago, Mike, we were trying to get them to break out above $30 a share. Now we're all the way back down to 24. And hey, it kind of looks like it's kind of double bottoming down here on the daily. And it looks like it's trying to come back to the upside. So who knows it? Maybe if it can get back above this $24 resistance, we could see a pretty big move out of Palantir.
Yep, we'll see what happens with it. So actually, Manny just mentioned Palantir, so that's good. But hey, it's holding its ground. I think it's awesome for some short put options right now, maybe for some shares. And if you wanted to play options on it, of course, like I said, the short puts, but calls with time. That's the biggest thing here. You really going to want to make sure you have time. You don't want to do anything that expires in 30 days, like minimum, probably like 5 or 6 months in my opinion. And that's minimum.
Yeah, because it's going to take a long time. And keep in mind that, even though the stock looks like it might be turning back to the upside, we might turn back up, touch $25, and then consolidate for another couple months. We've already been consolidating for like 6 months now. So just don't be surprised if it stays down for a little bit longer. And who knows, if the market, if something crazy goes on with China or something like that, obviously that would rock the market as well. So there's honestly a lot of scenarios going on right now that could affect a lot of different things. And hopefully they end up kind of getting resolved in the short term.
Good stuff. Alrighty, so we have Mike saying, good morning, everyone. Thoughts on NOK? So, Tom, I haven't heard about NOK in a while, but it's doing all right. I know that there are other people in the group that know this stock inside and out, and that is not me. That's not me, but either way, I've heard a lot of great things about them. Looking at their chart, they do look a little rough, though. They're not my favorite play, but I'm not against them. Like I'm definitely not like short NOK. I like them for like a leap, just given the options pricing. Keep in mind it is risky, but to me it's just like kind of like a gamble play. But I feel like the pricing on the leaps are pretty good.
Yeah, they are pretty cheap right now, and the IV looks like it is very slightly starting to come back up. So maybe if you can catch it for like a big IV run or something like that, it could make for a pretty good trade. But, personally, I don't know, Mike. I mean, Nokia's just, I've always been a little bit against them. They just, they've honestly fallen off the board. I feel like Nokia used to be the kings of cell phones back in the early 2000s, as we can see here on my weekly chart. I mean, man, they killed it in the early 2000s, even around 08 and 09. But, once these big companies like Apple and Samsung came in and kind of really monopolized the phone industry, or, it's really hard to, almost everybody only has either an Apple phone or a Samsung phone. There's only pretty much 2 major phone brands. I know that there's some other ones, but those guys really control the market there. And unfortunately, Nokia really fell off. And I know that they make money from their patents and stuff like that, but I'd really hope that they can kind of get back into that phone business eventually. And I know people have been kind of talking about that they might kind of get back into that business. And if that does happen, that could be awesome for Nokia. So hopefully we hear some good news about them over the next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for them. Like I said, it's not my favorite play in the world. Like, you look at like a Max Daily or Max Weekly, and, since 2000, this stock went from $62 down to $15, and then it went to $35, and then it went as low as $1.63. So it's like, it's obviously losing a lot of steam. But then again, it's been holding its ground for the past year or two, which is good. Like I said, I feel like they have some potential to pop up, but I'm not someone who has researched this company inside and out like a lot of people in the Discord. So either way, keep that in mind. Kenneth said NOK shares over leaps. That's always good. If you could get the shares, you're not like hoping for the stock to rise by a certain time, but it is what it is. So great question, Mike. And then we have George saying ChargePoint and then BLNK going strong today. So I saw that, and I'm very glad to see this one because they've been struggling so much over like the past couple months or so.
Yeah, and the cool thing about CHPT kind of going up is that we've seen a lot of stocks lately, like RUN, for example. They held their $40 support, and they actually held that support pretty strongly. But, we have a stock like CHPT where they actually broke below their $20 support. So I'm glad to see them coming back up. And, obviously, if all these growth stocks are up, stocks like CHPT are probably going to be up too. But, it actually looks like CHPT might be bouncing off of that resistance up here around 19.80 to $20. So hopefully it can kind of continue that run back up. But yeah, these stocks are on fire today. And I'm so glad to see CHPT and Blink running, Mike. I know that we've been waiting a while for these stocks to run, and the last Friday was a really good day for us. And I'm just really glad it kind of continued this week.
There we go. And then while BLNK and ChargePoint are running, even CCJ is running. So like the nuclear stock, they're up like a little over 4% on the day, which is good. It looks like they just got upgraded by TD from hold to buy with a $35 price target. So that's great to see. And I like this one like over the next couple months or so. Just keep it on your radar. And then we have George saying Verizon and AT&T continue their descent. These stocks have been getting smacked, literally. Like you look at Verizon and AT&T, I mean, wow. I mean, this is brutal.
Yeah, Verizon's starting to really sell off. And, at least Verizon's getting down to these levels from like 2019, maybe 2017. But man, AT&T is starting to get scary, Mike. They're starting to fall below some of these really key levels from like 2018, 2019. And unfortunately, they're like falling through those levels now all the way down to 25.81, just not looking good. Hopefully some good news can come out with these earnings or something like that. But man, it's really scary right now in the short term for these companies. And especially when you look at Verizon, I know that the AT&T's chart is probably worse, but man, Verizon's is just giving us such a good visualization here. Like you can just see how much these stocks have started to go down over the past few days. And it's just a really bad sell-off coming into this sector. And, a lot of people were expecting that with 5G and different technology like that coming out, that stocks like Verizon and AT&T would kill it over the next couple of years. But, looking at it right now, it's just not looking good. Obviously, for the next 2 years, they could maybe turn it around. But, for right now, it's definitely not a good scenario.
All right. We have G saying, morning fellas, been missing in action lately. My 8-strike Clove call is looking good right now. So yeah, Clove's been trying to come back. It's just, I was watching it, what was it, Tom? I want to say like the middle of August. Yeah, something like that. Like middle of August, it was looking good for like a couple like weeks or a couple days, and then ever since, it's just been selling off big time. So if it gets like some of that hype like it did, like especially like in May, that could be awesome for Clove. But in my opinion, I just feel like it doesn't have any hype right now. But either way, it's looking good over the past couple days, and I hope it continues up for you.
Yeah, and we came back up through that $7 support, and hey, as long as we can hold this and maybe get back up, it might make for a good move. But it's just going to be a really hard one to trade. They're really low priced, and it's always super risky whenever you're trading Clover. They're really up and down, and there's lots of scenarios where they like to gap down and different things like that.
All right. So we have Vicky saying, hit the like, guys, LVS and plug for levels, please. So, yeah, guys, if you hit the like button, it would greatly help us out, and Tom and I would really appreciate it, and it only takes like 2 seconds. So please hit the like button if you like the stream. But, Tom, what levels do you have for LVS and plug?
Yeah, looking at LVS right now, it's actually pretty hard to tell on the daily chart. They're kind of right in between this gap right now, so it's a little difficult. Let me go to like the 180-day 4-hour chart here and see if we can see anything a little bit more defined. And yeah, I would say right here, right around $41.75 to $42 will be the next resistance level, Vicky. That's where I'm seeing some pretty good touches here on the chart. Up above that, I'm seeing the next resistance being around $45. If we're looking at support, I see a pretty good support right around 37 even. So if you're looking at support, definitely look at 37. For resistance, look up here around 41.75 to 42.
Good stuff. And then plug.
Plug, PLUG. I know they've been bouncing right off that $24 support. Definitely use that as a great support level. That's awesome. And we are actually getting really close to a pretty big resistance, right around $30 a share. I know that's going to be the biggest level to look for today. We just broke through the other resistance that was right at 28.80. And we broke right up through that. So hopefully we get that nice run up to $30 today. Up above $30, I see the next one right around 35 even. And that one actually looks pretty defined. So hopefully we can get a nice move up to 35. That would honestly make for a pretty good week.
Love to see it. All right, so we have JW mentioning INMD. So let's take a look at that one.